So just how bad was the recent cyber attack on the Justice Department? We know the ransomware essentially encrypted IT information. It affected email, bail services, the payment of child maintenance, and the master's offices, who are, we understand, operating manually at the moment. The Democratic Alliance wants a full explanation of the impact. Let's discuss this now with former prosecutor and DA MP Glynnis Breytenbach. Good evening. Thank you so much for your time. There was a release last night from the Department of Justice confirming that their Moja Pay system, which is for child maintenance, has been kicked out by this ransomware attack. But it also explains, while they've set up some sort of parallel email system in the interim, that the master's offices are using a manual process for bereaved families. I wonder if you could start there and just explain to us what the master's offices does and how this is likely to impact and who it's going to impact.
The master's office is responsible for a wide range of very important services. You know, they deal with all the deceased estates, issuing letters of executorship. They're responsible for curatorships. They're responsible for, payments to people who are in need for urgent payments out of deceased estates, bank accounts that have been frozen. The master's office is really a huge operation all on its own, and the fact that they're operating manually for essential services, if you read between the lines, it means that very, very little is getting done. They're no longer geared to operate manually. They don't have the staff to operate manually. During lockdown and with COVID, a lot of staff have unfortunately been affected. So on any given day, 2 out of 3 master's offices are not even open. So what this will mean in effect, operating manually on essential services means that little to nothing is getting done, really, which is so bad. It's so bad. The services are essential and they're urgent.
Have you, as the DA, been given enough information on exactly how much damage this attack has done?
We've been given no more information than the information that you have access to. Any other information that we have is a result of information from sources who, of course, wish to remain anonymous, understandably. And the damage, it appears, from information received is extensive and serious and deeply worrying. These are only allegations, they're rumors, and I have no evidence to their effect, but I'm told that service providers have not been paid, that accounts for payment of service providers are in 2 months and more in arrears. And as a result, the firewalls of the department were vulnerable, and that is the reason for this attack. That puts a whole new slant on things, and it's extremely worrying. The Department of Justice sits with absolutely masses of very private, very personal information of millions of people. Who knows where that is now and where it's gone and what's going to happen to it.
Yeah, they have been saying up to now that none of that information has been leaked. But it is really worrying, and the Citizen newspaper also referring to what you're talking about, that there possibly could be a motive, with disgruntled staff who've not been paid for the past 2 months. In cases like this, I mean, if I think back to what happened with the ports at Transnet, it creates an absolute disaster. And it seems we never really get enough information. Do you think that's because we're just not geared up in South Africa to understand these things? Or do you think the authorities are perhaps keeping it close to their chest so they can solve the crime?
I don't think. I wish I could believe that the authorities are keeping it close to their chest so that they can solve the crime. I would be very happy if that were the case, but I doubt it. And I think the paucity of information is simply to not A, alarm anybody, and B, to not have to disclose precisely what the cause of the problem was, because the cause of the problem is not particularly flattering. But the actual problem that's caused by this is is really much wider than, just the Department of Justice's emails that don't work. It's my dog.
That's okay.
So it's not just the Department of Justice's emails that don't work. Unfortunately, the NPA has their own system, so they can keep some of the stuff going in courts. But for instance, there's no way to correspond with magistrates or judges. You can't file your papers. You can't. All of those services are down. Child payments are gone. Maintenance payments are going to be badly affected. This affects people's lives every single day.
Do you think, so one possible motive, and as you say, it's speculative at this stage because we just simply don't have enough information and we haven't heard from the authorities. One possible motive could be disgruntled staff. But is there a possibility that it could be, even more sinister than that, in that perhaps people who are standing trial for serious crimes, who are trying to disrupt things, would they target the Justice Department or would they rather target the NPA?
Certainly, they can do a lot of damage by targeting the Justice Department. You disable the courts to a very large degree, and specifically the lower courts have been disabled to a very large degree by this attack. So, regional courts, magistrates' courts, they're having great difficulty functioning without their IT system. It could well be disgruntled employees if contract workers' contracts are coming to an end at the end of September and no new appointments have been made, then of course you'd have a lot of people who have a lot to lose, and that may be a motivation. It may just that licenses haven't been fully serviced, and so firewalls go down and that information is leaked, and then the whole system is vulnerable. But the Department of Justice's IT system is such a system of national importance. So many day-to-day issues run off that IT system that it really should be very well protected. It should be way beyond just an ordinary, everyday hacking attack.
The department is also saying it's not able to determine the exact date when the required systems will be restored. So what does the DA want to hear from them about? It seems they've sort of given out information piecemeal, but what information do you think is important to be revealed, and what would you do with that information?
Well, I think it's important. Look, this isn't a Department of Justice bashing exercise. This is too important for that kind of sort of game. We'd like to know precisely what is wrong, precisely what has happened, precisely what is needed to fix it, and then to see if we together can come up with a solution, because the solution is the issue. We need to get these systems up and running. We need to get these services back on the road. We need to get maintenance payments out. We need to get the Master's Office functioning. It is such a dysfunctional office, the Master's Office, that this is going to be the last straw. So we would like to work towards finding solutions and making things work and getting things done. And you can't do that with little bits and bobs of information. We would like the Minister to tell us what is wrong, what has happened, and what is needed to fix it, so that we can try and be helpful in that regard.
Well, thank you very much for chatting to us this evening, former prosecutor and Democratic Alliance MP Glynnis Breytenbach, really concerned about the cyber attack on the Justice Department, and they are working very hard to restore things, but they actually haven't given a date on when they think it will be fixed.